6372. One requirement for a student pilot to be authorized to make a solo cross-country flight is an endorsement. A. In the student's logbook that the instructor has given the student cross-country instruction in the model of aircraft to be used. B. In the student's logbook that the pre-flight planning and preparation has been reviewed and the student is prepared to make the flight safely. C. On the student pilot certificate stating the student is competent to make cross-country flights in the category, class, and type of aircraft involved. The correct answer is B. One requirement for a student pilot to be authorized to make a solo cross-country flight is an endorsement in the student's logbook, indicating that the pre-flight planning and preparation have been reviewed and the student is prepared to make the flight safely. This endorsement serves as confirmation that the student pilot has received guidance and oversight from an authorized flight instructor regarding their flight planning and preparation. It ensures that the student pilot has thoroughly reviewed essential aspects of the cross-country flight, such as route planning, weather assessment, airspace considerations, fuel requirements, and alternate airports. The endorsement from the flight instructor signifies that the student pilot has demonstrated the necessary knowledge and preparedness to undertake the solo cross-country flight safely. By reviewing the student's pre-flight planning and preparation, the instructor can ensure that the student is equipped with the appropriate skills and decision-making abilities to handle the challenges that may arise during the cross-country flight. In summary, the endorsement mentioned in option B is a requirement for a student pilot to be authorized for a solo cross-country flight. It signifies that the student has received guidance in pre-flight planning and preparation from the flight instructor, indicating their readiness to undertake the flight safely. 6373. May repeated solo cross-country flights over the same route be made by a student without receiving an endorsement from a flight instructor for each flight? A. No. An endorsement is required for each solo cross-country flight. B. Yes. If the route is no more than 50 nm from the point of departure and instruction was given in both directions over the route. C. Yes. If the total route is no more than 25 nm from the point of departure and the student has received at least 3 hours of cross-country instruction and logged at least 5 hours of solo cross flight. The correct answer is B. Repeated solo cross-country flights over the same route may be made by a student without receiving an endorsement from a flight instructor for each flight, under the condition that the route is no more than 50 nm from the point of departure and instruction was given in both directions over the route. This option outlines a specific scenario where a student can undertake repeated solo cross-country flights over the same route without requiring a separate endorsement for each flight. However, there are specific criteria that must be met. For each solo cross-country flight over the same route, the following conditions must be satisfied. Route distance limitation. The route distance must not exceed 50 nautical miles, (nm), from the point of departure. This means that the student pilot can only fly within a specific radius from their departure point without the need for additional endorsements. Instruction in both directions. The flight instructor must have provided instruction to the student pilot in both directions over the specific route. This ensures that the student is familiar with the landmarks, navigation aids, airspace considerations, and other factors relevant to safely navigating the route. By meeting these conditions, the student pilot is authorized to conduct repeated solo cross-country flights over the same route without requiring a separate endorsement from a flight instructor for each flight. It's important to note that this option provides a specific scenario and limitation for the repeated solo cross-country flights. Other scenarios or routes may have different requirements or limitations that need to be adhered to as per the regulations and guidelines set by the aviation authorities. In summary, option B correctly states that repeated solo cross-country flights over the same route can be made by a student without receiving an endorsement from a flight instructor for each flight if the route is within 50 nm from the point of departure and instruction was given in both directions over the route. 6375. Who is authorized to endorse a student pilot logbook authorizing flight in Class B airspace? A. Any flight instructor. B. Only the flight instructor who conducted the training. C. Any flight instructor who has personal knowledge of the flight training received. The correct answer is B. Only the flight instructor who conducted the training is authorized to endorse a student pilot logbook authorizing flight in Class B airspace. Class B airspace is a controlled airspace classification that requires specific training and authorization for a student pilot to operate within it. Option B highlights that the flight instructor who conducted the training holds the authority to provide the necessary endorsement in the student pilot's logbook. This endorsement serves as confirmation that the student pilot has received adequate training, instruction, and evaluation related to operating within Class B airspace. It signifies that the instructor who conducted the training has first-hand knowledge of the student's capabilities and readiness to navigate and communicate effectively in this airspace class. By ensuring that only the instructor who conducted the training can provide the endorsement, regulatory authorities and aviation organizations maintain a standard of quality and consistency in preparing student pilots for Class B airspace operations. This requirement helps to ensure that student pilots have received comprehensive training specific to the challenges and complexities associated with operating in this type of airspace. In summary, only the flight instructor who conducted the training is authorized to endorse a student pilot's logbook authorizing flight in Class B airspace. This ensures that the student pilot has received the necessary training and evaluation from the instructor with first-hand knowledge of their capabilities in operating within this airspace classification. 6368. Prior to solo flight, a student must have received flight instruction in A. Ground maneuvers. B. Unusual attitude recoveries. C. Basic radio navigation procedures. The correct answer is A. Prior to solo flight, a student must have received flight instruction in ground maneuvers. Ground maneuvers encompass a range of handling and control exercises that a student pilot needs to learn and practice before being authorized to fly solo. These maneuvers typically include taxiing, takeoffs, landings, climb and descent procedures, traffic pattern operations, and communication procedures. Flight instruction in ground maneuvers is crucial because it familiarizes the student pilot with the fundamental aspects of aircraft control and handling. It ensures that the student pilot has acquired the necessary skills to safely operate the aircraft during critical phases of flight, such as takeoff and landing. By receiving instruction in ground maneuvers, the student pilot gains valuable knowledge and practice in controlling the aircraft on the ground and low-altitude maneuvers. This instruction is essential to develop the student pilot's understanding of the aircraft's handling characteristics, control inputs, and responses. It also provides an opportunity to practice proper communication procedures and familiarize oneself with traffic patterns at an airfield. In summary, prior to solo flight, it is necessary for a student pilot to receive flight instruction in ground maneuvers. This instruction ensures that the student pilot has acquired the necessary skills, knowledge, and practice related to aircraft control, handling, and procedures before undertaking solo flight operations. 6360. To be eligible for a student pilot certificate limited to airplanes, an applicant is required to be at least how old? A. 14 years. B. 16 years. C. 17 years. The correct answer is B. In order to obtain a student pilot certificate limited to airplanes, an individual must meet certain age requirements. This means that the applicant must be at least 16 years old to be eligible for a student pilot certificate specifically for flying airplanes. The age requirement is an important criterion for ensuring the readiness and maturity of individuals who wish to pursue aviation training. By setting a minimum age limit, aviation authorities aim to ensure that aspiring pilots have reached a certain level of physical and cognitive development necessary for safe and responsible flying. Meeting the minimum age requirement is just one of several eligibility criteria for obtaining a student pilot certificate. Other requirements may include passing a medical examination, completing the necessary training courses, and demonstrating knowledge of aviation regulations and procedures. It's essential for aspiring pilots to familiarize themselves with the specific age requirements set by their country's aviation regulatory authority, as these may vary slightly between different regions.